Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another outstanding edition of Jofo in the Ring. And we are ready to jump right into action. I am your host, the Harbinger of Truth, the Anointed One, Jeremy Prophet, the man who is the absolute best at doing the intro here, since you don't have to listen to Kyle stumble through his lines like he does on a weekly basis. Nevertheless, I am also joined by my broadcast partner, the man who calls himself the Spoiler and lives up to that moniker week after week, the one and only Kyle Jofo. As always, I'm glad to be here, steering the ship, carrying you to greatness, and I'm sure you're glad to be here doing this by my side, riding my coattails. But Kyle, something's a little different. You're not here with me today. What's going on, buddy?
I don't know. How long you been holding that in?
Well, I tell you what, with you here, it's a little bit offsetting. Like I said, there's that glare that comes off the top of your head. It kind of hits me, and it's like I'm having an out-of-body experience. Now I can actually relax, and who knows, maybe for the fans out there, I might actually take off the sunglasses at some point. But for now, I'm glad that we at least get to do this, and I'm even gladder that, you're at a distance, and I don't have to be, here trying to steer you along, give you all those cues to help keep you on board, because the people, let's face it, we want to do like the dirty heels and give the people what they want. But you can't always give the people what they want when you're not on the level. So now, Kyle, with you being where you are, why don't you tell the people why you're not in studio here with me?
Well, first of all, I don't give them what they want. I give them what they need. And what they need is more me. Now, I'm not there because I'm a lazy piece of shit and didn't want to shovel out my car. So,
all right. Well, I appreciate your honesty. Don't know if I can say the same for the fans watching, but nonetheless, I think we're going to have a great show, and we're going to do our best to give the people a show worth remembering. So we can start this thing off any way you want. We're kind of going a bit of freestyle edition here. We don't necessarily have one particular topic, but we can talk about anything we want. We can even talk about me if you want.
Well, I know you'd love to do that, but we don't have 3 hours, so we'll keep it tight.
That's true. That's true, and
good.
I'm not paid by the hour either.
That's true. Have you been
This is kind of like, well, actually, no, I kind of consider it more like community service, taking care of you. We know that you can somewhat be a little mentally challenged at times. So let's just say that if ever I get arrested down the road, I can just show them a copy of this show and it'll count towards community hours.
There you go. All right. So moving on.
Let's hope I don't get arrested again.
Well, we got to touch on that. Why were you arrested?
It was a case of very bad racial profiling, and I won my case. It's proven innocent.
Oh, well, was it here?
No, it actually wasn't here. It was in the United States, and racial profiling, racism. It's something that I've dealt with, and it's a real issue. Whether it be systemic or not, even in wrestling. People don't realize that. People don't realize.
Last time you do a show at the Duluth, Alabama Civic Center, right?
I'm sure I've done a lot of shows in front of card-carrying members of the Klan and all, but all that to say, racism comes in different forms in professional wrestling. Even something along the lines of promoters that have told me, oh, well, we can't have you be a babyface. I mean, let's face it, you're black. These people aren't going to cheer for you. And that's just one form of racism. Another form of racism is when they'll say, oh, well, we can't, you have to team with the other African-American on the show because, you guys have to team. And, if that were a white guy, they probably wouldn't have us team. But that's the way, we got to tank through some of these racial issues in wrestling. However, we're trying to change that. I'm a big supporter of...
They can be very good Klan members if they show up to a show with Black Dynamite build on the poster, eh?
No, well, it depends. Depends how a promoter wants to slant that. I mean, I personally think Black Dynamite could be a hero for the people. And I love the fact that I'm Black Dynamite because, let's face it, what people don't realize is that I'm not scared to be who I am. I'm black. It's in my name. I am Black Dynamite. But you know what? In all honesty, I mean, look, I didn't choose to be black. God made me that way. But you know what? If I could choose, I'd still want to be black because it's a beautiful thing. Wrestling doesn't have to be about what color you are, where you're from, what your income is. You're there to put on the best show possible for the people. So it doesn't matter. And that's why, even though I've dealt with my fair share of promoters who maybe have different racial views or, people yelling obscenities at me, you know what? I've fought through that, and that's helped to make me better. and help to remind me that, we have an opportunity every time we step out through that curtain, every time this light goes on, to enlighten people and to help to fight the good fight. And yeah, I'm proud to be Black Dynamite. Damn proud of it. And I wouldn't change a damn thing, regardless of what others think of it.
As you shouldn't. So, as you know, it's January. Best time of the year to be a wrestling fan, in my opinion, because it's Royal Rumble season. You got any picks?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it when we were with our good friends there on Circle of Debate. And, for the 2 Royal Rumbles, first of all, for the women's one, Charlotte's always a safe pick.
Yeah.
Why go against Charlotte? She's been on top for so long. The company insists on having her there. And let's face it, even though she's got her haters, she brings it. Where are you going to find someone with the complete skill set that Charlotte has? And, a lot of people, they hate Charlotte because, they feel it's nepotism. I'm one of the most outspoken people when it comes to that. But we can't deny, she's got the look. She's got the mic skills. And she's got the ring skills. Kind of reminds me a bit of me. But those are the things that you need if you want to be on top. That you can showcase Charlotte compared to any other women's champion out there. And people will realize that, hey, look, her skill set is amongst the best. I personally think Charlotte easily be the best in the world when it comes to being the full package as a professional wrestler.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think if anything, she is the best in the world. I think my pick, though, I'm gonna have to go with Bayley. I feel like they're gonna pull the trigger on Bayley again and just send her and have her and Sasha Banks tear it up Mania for the belt. Because I feel like that's what that feud kind of needs. I didn't really like how it ended, so I think maybe they'll just kind of give her the Rumble win and have her take on Sasha at Mania.
I don't think it'll be her and Sasha. I think that they did that match so many times. I don't think it sells as a WrestleMania match. Now,
You don't think so?
I mean, they've done it so many times. If they're going to do it again, I think they have to up the ante. They have to put them in some type of a stipulation match. But I don't see it selling on its own. I could see Bayley potentially winning the Women's Rumble and going to challenge whoever the Raw Women's Champion might be. And I think that, with my other prediction, I also felt that it's very possible that Becky Lynch may be back in time for Mania. I think that'd be a good feel-good moment for the fans. However, that's going to depend on how quickly she can get her body back into wrestling shape, because bringing a child into this world is no small feat. I mean, I wouldn't wish that on even you. And I certainly would never want to do that. I mean, hats off to any woman.
You have those childbearing hips.
Yeah, let's not talk about your hips there, buddy. But when it comes down to it, I would not. I don't think I'd be able to do it. And hats off to any woman out there who has brought a child into this world, because it's a very difficult thing to do. So I don't know if Becky's going to be able to be good to go for April, especially in wrestling shape, to do a big, long match. But I could see Bayley making the jump over to Raw, because it would shake things up. It would be something fresh and different for the Raw brand. And she has been nothing short of a home run on SmackDown, bringing it in the ring, on the mic. I personally, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, when Bayley first came up to the main roster with her little ponytail on the side of her head and the balloons and everything, was absolutely not my cup of tea. She was, to say a channel changer is a pretty harsh thing to say, but she was not someone I enjoyed seeing. The new Bayley, I think, is fantastic. I think she definitely upped her game, upped her mic skills, her look, and she just seems so comfortable out there. I'm very, very entertained by Bayley. Much more entertained by Bayley than Sasha Banks. And I think that she's almost done everything that she can do on SmackDown right now, that I think going to Raw would be something new and different and a new challenge for her. And even though, we've kind of seen Bayley and Asuka, there still might be some juice left to squeeze in that rivalry. And who's to say Asuka even holds the belt until Mania? They're very possible that may change, and then we might end up getting Bayley versus another challenger, maybe even Bayley versus, let's say, a Becky Lynch at Mania. We've not seen those two horsewomen go at it on a big stage like that in a one-on-one. That could be pretty refreshing, and I think that in that sense, your pick is not that preposterous.
Yeah, no, I'd love a model. That'd be great. That could even technically be a main event, I think.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Bayley has been an MVP of this quarantine era of
Absolutely.
WWE. And I think that the people who work the hardest out of Mania season should be the ones who are rewarded during Mania season. And she really helped carry SmackDown at a point where SmackDown was a much better show than Raw. I do feel that with the superstar shakeup that they did, SmackDown has really regressed from where they were. But Bayley is still a high spot of that show. And, she's definitely someone to keep an eye on during WrestleMania season. I think that they will want to reward the hard work that she's put in.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. For the men, I'm still hung up on Bobby Lashley winning this one, though. I think he's the one to do it.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say doesn't work in his favor is that he's already fought Drew McIntyre. So that match is again kind of stale. I love Bobby Lashley. I've been in the ring with him, and he's an absolute beast in there, and really a great human being that really realistically should have been WWE champion by now. So I'd love to see him get that opportunity. And I think what's great is that he's tapped into his actual intensity. Because Bobby Lashley was always a great wrestler, but to me, he was kind of he was a technician in there. He was a, power guy, and now he's like an animal. He's got the intensity. Anyone out there who believes Brock Lesnar could take Bobby Lashley, I'm sorry. You guys do not know Bobby Lashley. I really feel Bobby Lashley's at a point he could literally tear Brock Lesnar's head clean off his shoulders. I mean, Bobby Lashley is a whole nother breed of animal, and I think WWE has finally figured out how to present him in a way that complements his actual skill set and appearance. I've said it for years. Bobby Lashley should be a top guy. He should have been what Brock Lesnar was over the last couple of years, because you'd get so much more out of a guy like Bobby Lashley, and I think we're finally seeing the real potential of Bobby Lashley with the Hurt Business. I would love to see him win that Rumble. The only thing is that I don't see a path to either championship for him with how strong Roman has been on SmackDown as the tribal chief and how strong Bobby Lashley has been both as heels and as United States champion. What I was kind of hoping for would have been, and I know this is, a lot of hoops would have to be jumped through for this to happen, but I would have loved, rather than Goldberg coming back and challenging Drew McIntyre, which I think is horrible. I will go on record and I will say that Raw Legends Night wasn't that bad, but that was the absolute worst way to end that in a program that I don't think anyone wants to see. And I think personally, imagine if Goldberg had come back and said he wanted to challenge Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship. The belt, the first championship that he won in wrestling. That could have been something that they could have carried all the way to Mania. It gives Lashley something relevant. It gives a match where even if Goldberg wins, it's not great, but it's still not as bad as Goldberg winning the WWE title from Drew McIntyre. And it gives Bobby Lashley a win that could actually help catapult him into that next stratosphere to become WWE champion. I'm a big Bobby Lashley fan. I'm a big fan of smart booking, but I think that when it comes to Drew McIntyre and Goldberg, they really dropped the ball. That was an easy layup for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like you said though, like the I think it was his first set of title defenses was against Lashley when McIntyre first won the belt, or was it Rollins first? It was Lashley.
I think Lashley was before Rollins.
Yeah, and he was just locking him in the Hurt Locker forever. But
yeah,
like you said, it kind of got a little boring. But then I find Bobby Lashley kind of got more interesting as like the time went on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
Love
definitely
to see him
evolved.
do it again, but But the minute Bobby Lashley came back, I've always wanted to see him go against Lesnar anyway. Who doesn't want that?
Everyone's wanted to see that, and I don't know why it doesn't happen. I personally feel like Brock might just, not to say he's afraid. I can't imagine he'd be afraid of him, but this match should have happened many times now, and Bobby Lashley has gone on record as saying he wants this match. I remember he came back and he had that match with Roman Reigns, and he beat Roman, and I really thought, okay, here we go. We're off to the races. They're going to catapult Lashley into having that match with Lesnar, and we as fans are really going to be spoiled for the fact that we get to see this. And then they reversed it. They gave Roman the win, and then we got Roman versus Lesnar for the third, fourth time. It's surprising, and I've seen interviews where Bobby Lashley has said even he doesn't know why they haven't gone forward with that match with him and Brock. They were both in the Royal Rumble last year, yet when Brock was destroying everybody, Lashley wasn't even one of those guys that they brought out. So it's like they're keeping them away. I just don't understand why a match of that proportions they wouldn't want to, finally put it together. And I think it's sad because now both these guys are in their 40s. Not to say they both don't, look fantastic and still get the job done in the ring, but it's going to reach a point where that window is going to have closed, and it's going to be one of those big what ifs of, what could have been had they actually pulled the trigger on this. It's really a shame.
Yeah, I know. Especially even on his first run too, they kept hesitating to pull the trigger on him, and he was super popular back then when he was the ECW champion. Obviously, ECW was shit, went on the shitter, but then he just left, tried MMA. Like when he was doing the whole Umaga thing, that was great. I loved it. I thought sure I would have seen it together.
And what's amazing about Bobby Lashley is I remember going to watch the Great American Bash where he faced John Cena for the WWE Championship. And I thought, this is finally going to be the moment. He's going to win the championship. It's going to be great. And they didn't pull the trigger on him, despite the fact that Lashley, and people can say whatever they want, and, over is a very subjective thing. Lashley was way more over than John Cena. And take it from someone who was there in the building, I think it was in Toronto, actually, when Cena and Lashley teamed up to take on the team of the Great Khali, Umaga, and Shane McMahon in the build-up to that match at the Great American Bash. And they had the match. The people cheered Lashley. They booed Cena. Cena took the pin, if I'm not mistaken. The crowd cheered for, Umaga, or maybe it was Shane pinning Cena. And after they went off the air, they had a moment where you would have had to be there to see it, but they had a moment where they stood in the ring beside each other. And after the show had ended, Lashley speared John Cena to one of the loudest pops I had ever heard. Speared Cena, grabbed the belt, raised it in the air, got a standing ovation from the audience, and it was like a changing of the guard. Now, people can knock Lashley and say, oh, well, his mic skills aren't as good as John Cena. Well, for one, you can't deny that his physique is incredible. That if you had to say, which wrestler, I personally think he's in the greatest shape of all time of any wrestler, period. And take it from a guy who's been in the ring with him, he is as strong as he looks. No matter how good you may think John Cena's mic skills are, Bobby Lashley, much like Dave Bautista, never had the audience turn on them to the extent they turned on John Cena. And to his credit, he's often able to win the audience back. But Bobby Lashley never had people booing him out of the building. He never had people, tossing his T-shirt back in the ring when he tossed it into the audience, that kind of thing. He never had that hatred that John Cena had. He was never rejected as a top babyface, and I think they should have passed the torch and given it to the almighty Bobby Lashley at that point at the Great American Bash, and it's really a damn shame they didn't.
Yeah, well, we'll just add that to the list of things that shoulda, coulda, would have happened in WWE and never fucking did.
Yeah, but again, it's just it's to say that oftentimes they can see something and they don't want to hear the people. I'm a firm believer that if you hear the people, you don't have to fear the people. You just got to give the people what they want. Simple. It's like there'd be a formula that says what the people want, giving it to them, and it equals money, dollar signs. Unfortunately, common sense doesn't prevail in the world of professional wrestling.
And Vince McMahon needs to follow the Dirty Heels business model, clearly.
Absolutely. So, but all that to say, Bobby Lashley, I don't think it's a horrible pick. It's not my pick, but I feel like my pick that I made on that show that we did is kind of in jeopardy because my pick was the Fiend Bray Wyatt. And now where it seems that Bray is going to be going into a match with Randy Orton, some type of another stipulation match at the Royal Rumble, it's not looking likely that he would win that Rumble. However, I think the biggest match they could make on Raw right now would be to have The Fiend challenge Drew McIntyre. I think those are two of the guys that have carried the Raw brand. And, I guess The Fiend was on SmackDown for a while, but nonetheless, he's a proven ratings draw for Raw. And to go into a program with McIntyre would be something different because I don't think those two have ever had a match.
No, I don't think so, no.
They technically they had one on a house show where the Fiend McIntyre replaced, I forget who the scheduled opponent was for the Fiend, but that happened I think maybe like about a year ago in the early days of the Fiend. They had a Fiend versus McIntyre on a house show, but they haven't had any kind of interaction on TV.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely like to see that too. Even like they have the Fiend in the Rumble. They can do like a Three Faces of Foley kind of deal and just have different personas of Bray Wyatt run to the ring, and then just have the Fiend come out last.
They could, but I think that's really devaluing it, because then it kind of becomes a joke. I think that with Mick Foley, you could do that because his characters were kind of all presented equally. I've seen that idea thrown around a lot online about the three faces of Bray Wyatt, but I think that he's got to go in as the Fiend and, win the Rumble conclusively if he's going to win it. But I think what's cool in that is not necessarily getting to him and McIntyre. I think the idea of which champion is he going to challenge becomes interesting, because he has unfinished business with Roman Reigns, who beat him for the Universal title. So now you can have the Fiend playing mind games with both champion as the build-up to getting to the actual title match. And, I wouldn't surprise me to see if this ends up happening, because really all WWE's writers have to do is just listen to guys like you and I doing this stuff for free, and they'll have tons of better ideas than that BS that they put out on a weekly basis, especially on Friday nights. Don't get me started.
Wasn't always bad on Friday nights.
Well, when you got Adam Pearce,
days.
you got Adam Pearce being put into title matches as your top storyline at the expense of guys like Shinsuke Nakamura, who have been pulling the wagon for the company all year long, never missed a day of work pretty much. It's quite insulting, not only to myself but to the fans of the product that want to see what I've said before, people who are there putting in the work get rewarded, not just get buried at the expense of having a cheap laugh. I mean, if that was, again, I know we're maybe going a little off topic here, but when you're having that storyline take place and you're going to try to sell a Royal Rumble based on a guy who hasn't wrestled a match in 6 years in a suit and tie that the general public has no idea even has a professional wrestling background, it's not a good look, if you ask me.
No, not really. And it was funny, too, because I listened to Adam Pearce on Corey Graves' podcast a couple weeks ago, and it was right around the time Randy Orton had hit him, and he had gotten him suspended. And he asked him, he's like, if there was anybody you ever got in the ring with, would it, he's like, yeah, I'd get in there for Randy Orton. And he kind of touched Roman Reigns. So I wonder if they were kind of planting that seed back then to up till now.
Maybe. I mean, it's possible. But at the same time, how is that going to draw money? How many people know who Adam Pearce is? I know who he is. I almost worked a show with him in New England Championship Wrestling, not against him, but he would have been on the same show, working with Colt Cabana. I know of his work in Ring of Honor. I know of his work with the NWA, but I'm not the average fan. I'm not the person who's going to shell out money for a network subscription and a pay-per-view. When it comes down to it, it's not building to the match. I don't know what it is. I really don't. I just feel like no one sits down and says, okay, but how is this going to create interest for the match? And then we're going to pull the rug out from under and we're going to just slot in Kevin Owens. Again, I don't claim to know what they do, to know what inspires these practices. I just feel that it's a neglect for the actual fan base. They're not listening to the people. They're just doing this to impress, the billionaire that's calling the shots.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, well. It was kind of a surprise with the Kevin Owens thing, but it was surprising but not surprising, because I wasn't sure if they were actually going to...
Yeah, but Kyle, let's face it. How many people are realistically interested in seeing Kevin Owens against Roman again? He got his ass beat the first time. Then they beat him in the cage match. Then he got beat up in a bunch of backstage segments. He got a win on Jey Uso, and then he disappeared. And now he's back because of a loophole in a contract. So 3 times we're going to see him. Now, what is the end game on this? Is it that now we're going to see Kevin finally beat Roman? I don't think any more people believe he's going to win than they did before. And then what is it? We're going to see Kevin lose for a 3rd time. So we're creating interest in the show by having this guy be a whipping boy for the tribal chief over the course of 2 months now. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I know. It was kind of dumb, but... I guess maybe probably happened. They were probably going to go ahead with Adam Pearce fighting at the pay-per-view, and then Vince just changed his mind last minute.
Well, we'll never know.
Nah.
We'll never know, will we? But I think that, to me, I don't think Adam Pearce was ever really seriously considered. Again, we'll never know. I just think it's unfortunate that, this was done at the expense of actually talented wrestlers like Shinsuke Nakamura, like Daniel Bryan, like a ton of other people who would make for much more interesting opponents for Roman Reigns. They don't have to win the championship, but I more believe that with the right story in place, there's a chance that they would actually get the job done. Whereas Kevin, what is the outcome for Kevin here? He's going to lose a third time. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But again, we're talking about the Royal Rumble. So I mean, I said Bray Wyatt, you said Bobby Lashley, Charlotte, Bayley. I think we have a bet. We have some money riding on this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we do.
Our friends at Circle of Debate. So we'll see. And I think what's good about this, and I have to say some good. Not everything I say out there about WWE is all bad, because I watch it and I want it to be good. I do like the fact that there's not a predictable Royal Rumble winner in sight. So I think that at least on that end, whether by design or unintentional, it's a good thing that it's not going to be a predictable winner.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting too, especially with the Thunderdome. So I'm looking forward to it this year. So one thing I've been doing is I've been catching up on my ECW, just because, as you know, we have probably the biggest guest we've ever had coming on the show this month. If you want to go ahead and tell our folks at home about it.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we can leave them in the dark. We can make them wonder and speculate. But it is a very, very big guest, a very extreme guest, someone who has. Let me see if I can throw out a clue there. Who has held championship gold in ECW, who has performed in all three of the major promotions: WCW, ECW, and of course the WWE, as well as TNA. And someone who is absolutely synonymous with Extreme Championship Wrestling. When you think of ECW, you can't not think of this person. So I think I've given them enough clues, and I'll let them speculate and comment on the video. And who knows? Maybe some of them will get it right. Maybe some will be, maybe some of them will be expecting someone else. But I doubt that they will be disappointed once this comes together. So there, I've created enough suspense and whatnot. I've done what SmackDown can't do, and that's create suspense that makes you want to watch the episode next week. So there, the cards are on the table.
And if you want to watch previous episodes, we left a little trail of breadcrumbs for you people at home if you need even more of a clue as got coming. But definitely pumped for that. I believe that this next topic, Sex Factor, if you want to talk to us about that.
Oh, my old tag team with me and Sexy Eddie from back in the day.
Exactly.
Yeah, I consider that the prolonging of Sexy Eddie's career, because he had a young stallion like me able to carry him through some tag team matches to greatness far beyond his own abilities would ever allow him to get to. Our tag team of Sex Factor, not to be confused with X Factor, although we did have a song that was almost as good as Uncle Cracker. That's a product of the past there of, I think it was around 2010, he and I teamed up. And, we beat a lot of ass in the day. We were able to win tag team championships. We had faced the team of Beer Money at the time, which consists of James Storm and Robert Roode, and we looked really good doing it. Eddie and I, we don't really see eye to eye from an in-ring standpoint anymore, but our team was outstanding, and you can see us here on the clip that's playing right now. There's Eddie. You can see him just slowly slipping out of the prime of his life, still trying to fake it till he makes it there in my shadow. And there you can see me looking like $1 million. Looking ready to smack somebody, probably some dumb fan who's mouthing off at me right now, much like those people that like you in the comments section. Don't know what's wrong with some of these people. But our team was outstanding. But unfortunately, here's where the team didn't work, is that I was all about the wrestling. Eddie was more about the outside the ring extracurricular activities, if you will. Eddie, we all know, he enjoys the ladies. He enjoys having himself a drink, and that's in the best of times. Sometimes it gets a little bit more seedy. But I wanted us to focus more on the wrestling, on us getting it done as a tag team and becoming the top team in all of Canada. We won some championships, but, he needed to keep his head on. He needed to stay focused, and unfortunately he couldn't. But what can I say? His sexual appetite can be voracious, bordering on addiction, if you will. And because he couldn't keep his head in the game, Unfortunately, that's why we had to go our separate ways, and I kicked him to the curb, both literally and figuratively. But all that to say, we had some good times, and I think he's very appreciative of the work that I did to help, try to help him keep up appearances and still be relevant by getting to bask in a bit of my spotlight. Is that what you wanted to know?
That's exactly what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
So we have
let me ask you, okay? Like, you're not a wrestler, but when you do your comedy thing, do you ever do a show where, let's say, you're one of the acts and then you have someone else that's kind of like a supporting act? Maybe they go on, they warm up the crowd for you. Is that how it works?
Well, it's mostly open mic, so it's basically everybody's kind of just warming up the crowd until the final guy comes on.
Yeah. So, looking at it like this, I
work with Claudio every month. We can count him as my opening act.
Okay.
I'm kidding, Claudio. I love you.
Oh, I don't know who he is, but anyways, like me and Eddie, for example, I would be the guy warming up the crowd, and I'd be the one delivering all the punchlines. He'd kind of just be standing there and maybe adding a little bit of slapstick here and there. But I'd even say, and I don't want to take too much of a personal shot at him, but I have it on good authority from Eddie's own mother that Jesus. She enjoyed my performances much more than her own son. Because in her own words, and I dare him to refute this story, and maybe we might got to get Mama Eddie on, but she had said, it was nice to actually see you wrestle, not do whatever it is Eddie says he's doing in there. And so, again, I don't tell tall tales. I'm the harbinger of truth. I tell it like it is. Even Eddie's own mother enjoyed my performances more than her own son.
That's a bold statement right there. Those are fighting words.
Hey, if I'm lying, I'm dying. But I'm telling the truth.
So what happened to you guys? Well, I know you guys had your differences. So what made you decide to finally pull the trigger on breaking up the team?
One thing after another. I'm a forgiving man. But when it comes down to it, you can only get so many chances. So that's pretty much what it was with Eddie. But not to say when it was good, when it was good, it was great. We won tag team championships. We defended them. We defended them in 3-team ladder matches. We defended them in street fights. We took one of the top teams in the wrestling industry, Beer Money Incorporated. Robert Roode, current WWE tag team champion on the SmackDown brand, along with Cowboy James Storm, former, Impact World Champion. We took these guys to the limit, had a great match with them. Maybe we can get the footage up on here one of these days. We had some good times. We kicked a lot of ass. But, Eddie was not about the in-ring. Eddie was about out of the ring. Eddie and I, we had a motto where we'd say, we're here for a good time, not a long time. So have a good time because the sun don't shine every day. And that's kind of my moniker in the ring. That's kind of make the most of this because you never know when you're going to have your last match, when you're going to bump your last bump. Eddie, it was more about, out of the ring, more about the parties, that kind of thing. And I need a partner who's going to be more like-minded. I've had a lot of wrestling partners, won tag team championships with tons of people, with Sexy Eddie, with Drew Onyx, with, one of my best friends, Genesis, tons of guys that I could name drop on here. I won tag team champions with the Pope, with Elijah Burke, D'Angelo De Niro, the Pope. I've won tag team championships with a lot of people. And the main thing is you got to have a like-minded partner. You got to have somebody that, knows what you're thinking in and out of the ring. And here you can see some footage of Eddie, which is something he has been accustomed to, is being on the receiving end of a beating from me, along with many other people. Here you can see me with Soa Amin, a.k.a. Drew Onyx, another guy that, I was happy to have as a partner, beat a lot of ass with him. In fact, I don't think we ever really lost as a tag team. We were NWA.
Shout out to Drew Onyx.
Yeah, we were NWA British Commonwealth Tag Team Champions, if I'm not mistaken. I may have got that wrong, but we were NWA Champions, tag team. And I don't think anyone ever beat us for that belt. We beat everybody in sight. And here you're going to see Eddie. I'm sure his intestines and his internal organs didn't appreciate that. And here we are doing what I call, South Shore Montreal style, just, putting the boots to someone, whether they deserve it or not. And this was more for, And you might think that's a bit of an underhanded tactic, but let's face it. I held back a little bit because I wanted Eddie to kind of just, remember the damage we've done, not be fully incapacitated. That I wouldn't do until many, many years later. And here again, you're about to see something outstanding here. Oh, poor Eddie. kind of it's kind of a microcosm of his career. You know, when he hit rock bottom and just kept on taking hits.
Oh Jesus! How many four locos did he drink after that match?
I don't know if Four Loko was a thing at that point. This is going back a few years, but I'm sure he could have used a couple.
God knows he's looking for him. Have you been following him on Instagram, seeing all of his shenanigans?
Yeah, I've been seeing him, doing a good job of, helping to fight his mental demons. Seen that. And I don't want to use this as a forum to just trash Eddie because, and I'll throw him a compliment here. It's good to see what he's doing because in these dark, disparative times, you got to find ways to put smiles on people's faces. And that's one thing I've always liked about Eddie is that he's always, to me, been very entertaining. Unfortunately, in wrestling, it's a war out there. You're going at it, and anything can happen. Your life is on the line. I need a partner that's got my back. That's not thinking about the girl in the front row with the short skirt and the cleavage. I need a partner who's wrestling first and everything else later. But when it's business, it's business. Business before pleasure.
Well, not to chime in here, but Jeremy, you told me that it was pretty much a serious addiction that got in the way of your tag team, right? That some people don't want to talk about on air is addiction, but maybe you could go a little bit into that, right?
Well, I mean, look, we fight addiction every day. We fight temptation, all of us. It's just about everywhere. And I don't knock him for something that is beyond his control. But when it comes down to it, Eddie, let's face it, he just couldn't help himself. He couldn't. There'd be times I'd be looking for him because we have a match and we got to strategize what we're going to do. And, he'll be around the corner with some girl and like it was anytime, any place. And I saw a lot. It's not my place to drag anyone's public life or personal life into the public spotlight. But when it comes down to it, I mean, Eddie, it was like a sexual addiction. It's what it was, and it got in the way of good business. And it's something that should never happen between friends. It should never happen between partners. But I had to cut bait. That's what it came down to. That was the end of Sex Factor. It became too much about the sex. And so that's why Eddie and I guess now you see us more as rivals than as friends. But, power to him. If this is the way he wants to live his life, I'm not going to judge him. Only God can judge him. As long as he's not getting in my way, then it's good and fine. Now, he has gotten in my way a few times, but that was, taken care of in short order. As I said, Eddie and I, we faced each other maybe about easily 50 times, and he's probably only come out on the winning end maybe about 2. So I like those records. I like those odds. Does that answer your question, Kyle?
Answered all of my questions. There we go.
Yeah, you pervert.
I'm just a sexy Eddie fan. His Instagram videos are fucking killing me now.
2020. What a shit show. Seriously, but it's behind us. And what we got to do for 2021 is make a lot of changes, make a lot of life changes to better ourselves, to have more appreciation for life with our family. So big change for Sexy Eddie. I'm going to be drinking more. Pass me a beer. Cheers, son of a bitch. Welcome to Sexy Eddie's Pizzeria, where everybody gets served and everybody leaves with a smile on their face. How? What's the most important ingredient on pizza, everybody? Mushrooms! Woo! Are you ready to party? 'Cause I am!
Yeah, well, it is what it is, and I'm sure there's a market for his videos, and I'm sure it's a good way of him to express his freedom, his exhibitionism, all those things that I don't really stand for. But like I said, in these harsh times, people need diversity. They need entertainment. And there's a lot of things I'll say about Eddie, but one thing I'll never say is that he was not entertaining. There's never a dull moment with that guy. If I was not in the wrestling business and I was only in the TV business, he'd be someone that I'd love to have as a partner because there's never a dull moment. You never know what's going to happen. But when it comes down to it, we were not a good fit in the ring.
So, is there any hope at all, or any chance that we ever see Sex Factor together again?
Well, I always say never in the wrestling business, because let's face it, anything can happen, and I'm a firm believer that if it makes dollars, it makes sense to me. But Eddie would definitely have to get his demons in check before there could be any kind of a Sex Factor reunion, because I think even if we had common enemies and we would want to unite under the enemy of my enemy being my friend, I don't think I'd be wanting to go through that kind of drama again, in addition to having to carry such a heavy load and heavy burden that I would with me in having to team with him. So I'm not fully closed to the idea, but he would definitely have to maybe get some therapy, some counseling. Maybe he might have to be chemically castrated before I decide that that's going to be a thing and I'm going to team with him again. So never say never, but he knows what kind of hoops he'd have to jump through to be able to get in my good books again.
So another guest on our show, Bob the Animal Anger, he wants to actually team with Eddie. So do you have any advice that you would give to the Animal?
Yeah, don't. Prolong your career by focusing on yourself, not on carrying, old has-beens who realistically have been past their prime for the last 10, maybe 12, 15 years. I don't see why he would want to team with Eddie. I mean, I don't know him too well. We have done some behind-the-scenes stuff together, me and the Animal. I respect his hustle, and he definitely is an animal in the ring. But I got to question his judgment if he's thinking about hooking up with Eddie, because that is a burden. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. That's like wishing syphilis on someone. It's like, why would you want to team with Eddie when you're going to have to be the one doing everything to help make sure that he's keeping up his end in a tag team. You look at Eddie in tag teams, the only successful one he's ever had is with me. Anyone else he's teamed with, and you can ask the Green Phantom this. You can ask anyone that's teamed with him. Eddie is the B side of the tag team, so yeah, you're going to be the A side, but when I say the B side, Eddie's like the D side of the tag team. So if Animal is looking at having a promising career at catapulting himself to the next level, he's got to be looking for a better partner than Sexy Eddie. And believe me, there are many of them out there, because he is taking on not only Eddie's physical shortcomings, but also his mental shortcomings, which I think I've spoken about at great length. So Animal, some friendly advice, from a veteran here, from someone who's been around the block and made $1. You might want to be choosing someone who's going to more fit the needs of the team rather than thinking of his own needs outside of the ring. And I tried to be as politically correct and PG as possible, because really, Animal, he's still got a chance to have a good career in front of him. You don't want to be making mistakes and stepping on landmines this early in the battle.
Not only have people been seeing you on this show, we've also been seeing you on the PCO Justice series. So why don't you tell us about that?
Oh, PCO Justice, the highest rated wrestling show online right now. Tons of people are watching. And I think that, we're doing something great here. We're giving people content at a time where a lot of wrestling shows aren't doing that. And so, it's like war on there with me and PCO, week in, week out. But beneath it all, it's a great opportunity to get to work with someone as experienced as him. And like I've said many a times, I get to pick his brain. He gets to pick mine. We have a good exchange, a good flow there. And I think that ultimately you're going to see where things go. And it's gonna open a lot of eyes. We're going to do something real special by the time that's done. And if you're not already watching, then folks, hashtag PCO Justice. If you want to see, the silver tongue sex symbol, Jeremy Prophet, doing his thing with the cameras rolling and taking quite the fight to the monster PCO.
So when do you think we're going to see the big blow off for that feud?
You got to keep watching. And the big blow off, that could happen anywhere. That it literally could. It could happen on PCO Justice. It could happen, like I said, in a ring with or without honor. Y'all know what I mean. Fact is, he and I are proper rivals, and I think that you get the two of us together in a ring, it's going to be money. It's going to be magic. And there's as much as I respect him, all bets are off once we get in there and we have to fight. And I will take a fight to him. So I think it's just more a matter of when than if. And like I said, if any of those other companies out there, they want to have the exclusive rights to that, then hey, you know, I know he's under an exclusive contract, so there's only one place that can happen. So if you guys want to cash in on what we've been building for, it's crazy, but it's going to be over half a year that we've been building this. So if you want to cash in on that, you know, we ain't going to give that away for free. That's something that could take place and could open a lot of eyes to what Jeremy Prophet brings to the table. And believe me, I'm a bad, bad man.
And hopefully maybe like other companies will see that and use that as like a basis to have to build storyline.
Yeah, it's a great medium to do it, because you don't need anything other than, you know, your own creativity to say, hey, we're putting this together. So yeah, it's kind of like putting together a mixtape in the hip hop world where you got these two great artists collaborating, and now you could sign them both to a record label and be able to have the exclusive rights to all of that. I say it all the time. I'm like a 50 Cent in this industry. I'm just waiting for my Dr. Dre and Eminem to find me and help catapult me to that next level. So I think that it could be something that could be outstanding for the Ring of Honor fans. I definitely think it would fit in perfectly. Not to mention the fact that I've already faced tons of people in Ring of Honor, and I think that, you know, I could really push them to their limits. And people are going to say, oh, well, you know, here you got this indie guy going and saying he's going to be pushing guys in Ring of Honor to their limits. Yeah, you're damn right I can push guys to their limits. Wait till I sink my fangs into some of those guys. You know, I'm not bringing in any kind of a structured complacency here. I'm bringing in years and years of a chip on my shoulder that I could take to any one of those guys and, you know, go in there and help to elevate them to a level that people haven't seen, and elevate myself in the process. And like I said, I've faced a lot of these guys already. I've faced Jay Lethal. I've faced Dalton Castle, Matt Taven, Vincent, Danhausen. I can go on and on. I've faced tons of these guys, been on shows with tons of them. And I definitely think that my addition to that company would not only be great for the product itself, but also great for the visibility in Canada, because I'm already on their programming with IWS. So IWS and Ring of Honor, they air simultaneously. Why not add another Canadian if you're going to pay all that money to have broadcasting in this market on Fight Network, which is a channel I'm already on, and on RDS, which already has IWS content, which I'm on, appearing alongside Ring of Honor. It's a natural fit. It's a natural progression. And believe you me, you know, if they don't come knocking, I'm going to keep making noise about it until I get that opportunity either to succeed or fail. But trust me, I don't fail when the pressure's on. I rise to the occasion. Pressure makes diamonds, and I'm a damn sure diamond in the rough. What are you laughing for?
That's the best answer you could have given, I think.
What are you laughing? I will smack you with the back. I will come over there, smack you with the back of my hand, and your head will start being able to grow hair again.
Oh, God. You know
right.
what? That'd actually be great. I'll send you my address after the show.
That's right. I got magic in this hand. If you get out of line, I'll give you a fresh one.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, one thing, though. What did you think about Nakamura getting his music back? Did you like his new song? Or not new, but like his old one?
You know, I might be a little outspoken on this, but I think it's a little too late. Like, tons of people wanted him to keep the other one, and I feel the only reason they gave him the newer one, the rap one, was because they didn't want the fans to sing along, because that's a sign of, oh, well, you know, a heel is not supposed to have the audience participate. Whatever. I don't know. It's just a little too late, but I don't know, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of people I would like to see get their music back. I'd love to have seen Drew McIntyre get his Broken Dreams song back. I saw a post that Shelton Benjamin wanted to get Ain't No Stopping Me back rather than, you know, the generic stuff they had him coming out to, and I guess now he's got the Hurt Business music. You know, whatever. Nakamura got his old music back. Good for him. But what I more wish is that they would have built more mystique around Nakamura. I think that the fact that they had him come out, confront Jey Uso, cut a promo, say a corny line, to me, that's not what Nakamura should be. He should be like what he was, you know, in NXT, where there was mystique behind him, where he didn't have to speak. He could just go in there and just mess somebody up. To me, that was Nakamura. Again, it's what happens when you have a bunch of, you know, old to middle-aged white men on steroids writing a show and trying to create a character. You know, maybe you get someone who actually writes, you know, actual action or, you know, things with layers and character development, and maybe they could understand what Nakamura needs to be. Instead, everyone is in this image of guy who comes out, tells jokes, and, you know, beats up on other person. And that's almost every WWE promo that you see. So to me, whatever, he could have whatever music they want. They got to refresh his character and get him back to where he was if they really want him to be a top player. Because let's not forget, he's a guy who a month ago was losing to Otis in 2 minutes. So they gotta wash that stink off of him before they can start presenting him as being a big deal again.
Yeah, I think they're giving him the Kobe Kingston treatment from a few years back, just because I remember reading an article, something about how New Japan is going to have in the States, or not streaming rights, but TV rights or some kind of TV deal. So I think they're going to try to build up a nice Japanese star just to kind of hopefully get more eyes on them if New Japan does come over here.
Well, if you look at how they treated Nakamura compared to how they treated Asuka, it's like night and day. You know, you could have had two top Japanese stars if you would have invested more in Nakamura and not made him into a joke. And if people think Nakamura was made into a joke when he turned heel on AJ Styles and started low blowing him, no, Nakamura was a joke well before that, when they had him feud with Jinder Mahal for the WWE title, and they had him become literally the butt end of jokes. It didn't seem like it was a good long-term plan. And sometimes in WWE, we see people fall into these traps where they get really popular. They maybe get more popular than the office expects them to be. And then suddenly they want to strip away a lot of what got them there. So then they start putting Nakamura to do long promos, knowing that his mic skills and his English are not the strongest. It's like they put him in situations where they want them to fail. And they gave no good material to him for that whole run. Feud with Jinder Mahal, feud with AJ Styles. They clearly weren't behind him. They were just doing it almost to say, well, look, we pushed this guy, and here's what you get. You know, sometimes you have to succeed in spite of WWE booking you rather than to succeed because of how WWE books you. Because at this point, they could take anyone on the roster and they can make them, they can break them. You don't believe me? Look at Otis. Look at Otis where he was a few months ago to now. So he gets over. But is he over because of Mandy? Is he over because of Tucker? Is he over because of the Money in the Bank briefcase? Well, he doesn't have any of those right now, and he's not as over. So I guess they did their own self-fulfilling prophecy. And for every Otis, there's tons of guys. You can go down the list. There's, Ryback, Damian Sandow, Cesaro, tons of guys that they were on the cusp of getting to another stratosphere of popularity that maybe surpassed where they were pigeonholed to be. And that's time and time and time again. For every Daniel Bryan that can be an exception to that rule, there are, tons and tons of all of those guys that or unfortunately had their legs cut out from under them because someone didn't want to see them succeed.
Yeah, and you bring up Otis. It's funny, too, because they're sticking him with Chad Gable now, and Chad Gable has the gimmick that Drew Gulak had last year.
Yeah, similar.
It's like, again, they don't know what to do with anybody anymore. They're just, okay, we'll try this with this person. We'll move, like Mandy Rose. You break up her and Sonya Deville. You move over to Raw. You put her in another tag team. What was the point of that?
Yeah, it's why I don't really like talking about WWE, but, I'll humor these discussions because it's not anything we haven't seen before. When it comes down to it, if they want you to succeed, you will succeed. You will, because of what's called the forced push in wrestling. And I can see this turning into one of our nice little snippets where we have, what is the forced push at the top of the box that we have here. And the idea is that they will keep pushing you regardless of everything else. Look at John Cena, who was organically over, and then the people started rejecting him, but we're going to keep pushing him. They're going to boo. We're going to keep having him win. We're going to, keep pumping out different colored t-shirts, all those things. Even the people were rejecting Roman. Okay, well, we're going to keep pushing Roman. We're going to keep him on top. We're not going to let the people tell us what to do. We're going to tell them, we're the parent and they want candy, but we're going to give them broccoli and they're going to like broccoli because we're going to just do this Stockholm syndrome treatment on them and they're going to give into it. And that is the forced push.
Yeah, couldn't have said it any better myself.
What is the forced push? I can see it now.
Well, you're sitting right there with the pod god. He'll clip anything. Just make sure he doesn't have Scott Steiner into it.
It's see, Scott Steiner, he definitely didn't get the forced push. He got a bum deal in WWE. But I mean, I guess that's what happens when you want to have a drug test alongside the boss's son-in-law. I think he was perfectly in his right in that. If they were going to demand he take a drug test, then why don't they have everyone submit to a drug test at the time? As far as I know, Scott Steiner never failed a drug test. Why does he have to submit to one when no one else does?
He's not married to the boss's daughter.
If you and I had a drug test, I'm sure you would fail, Kyle.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Fail that. I failed a cholesterol test, everything.
IQ
I did
test?
pass my HIV test, though.
Literacy test?
Exactly.
Oh, Frank asked Sylvain Grenier during a Hannibal live stream if he would ever step in the ring with Jeremy Prophet again, and he said that he would accept that challenge if my information is correct from what Frank told me.
Okay.
But tell me, have you worked with Sylvain already, and would you work with him again?
Yeah, why not? I mean, Sylvain, he taught me a lot in wrestling. I even just, had done that interview that we did with Circle of Debate, and they asked me about my tryouts, and I said Sylvain was one of the reasons why I did so well at the Florida Championship Wrestling WWE tryout that I did in 2009. So yeah, definitely. He's someone that taught me a lot. I know Sylvain, he has his detractors. He's a very polarizing figure, but no hatred or disrespect on my end. In fact, I'd love to get him here in an interview. And if he ever wants to get back in the ring, I'd love to fight him. I mean, Sylvain's a legend here, regardless of what people think of him. He's done more here in Quebec than 99% of the wrestlers that have come from here. So definitely, if he wants to get in the ring with me. Although I did bust his nose up one of the times we were in the ring, so it surprises me he wants to get back in. But Sylvain's a lot tougher than he looks. So if he wants to do the dance, hey, we can run it back anytime, and I think the fans would enjoy that too.
So obviously, you've worked with a lot of people. Is there anybody that you haven't worked with yet that you really want to?
I mean, there's a few names that come to mind, but one that we came really close to having, I feel, was RVD, Rob Van Dam, who we talked about how critically underutilized he was in the 90s when he, not just in the 90s, but like when he went to WWE afterwards, most over guy during the invasion, and they didn't give him the belt. But I've always been a big fan of RVD. He's inspired a lot of the kind of wrestling that I do. I love that he was a bigger guy, and he was very athletic, and he could bring it, and he could bring it on the mic. He was good at just about every aspect of wrestling, and never really got his due, despite the fact that he had all the tools. Almost like what we were talking about guys who they didn't want to get over, but they got over much more than they had pigeonholed them in to be. Rob Van Dam fits that, and it sucks because we were on a show together for IWS, and he ended up doing a triple threat with these two curtain jerkers. And I think had I been in that match, one, it would have been a lot better. And two, it would have been something that the people would have enjoyed a lot more. And I think that opportunity slipped away. But hopefully, he sticks around for a few more years in the business because, he's an exceptional talent. When they say one of a kind, he is one of a kind. And I feel like this generation really, if you haven't seen RVD, go back and watch his stuff. Because, your mind will be blown. He was like a wrestler from the future that time traveled to the past and was doing stuff you wouldn't see anywhere. Really a shame I never got him in a match, but who knows what the future holds. Hopefully it can still happen, but I think it was a big missed opportunity there by what could have been Jeremy Prophet versus RVD at IWS a few years back.
Well, hopefully we get to see that once everything opens back up, because that'd be one hell of a fucking match.
Yeah, indeed. Never say never. I definitely think that if someone wanted to invest in making that happen, it would not disappoint.
Well, I'm sure we'll be able to clip that and get that made, hopefully. Fingers crossed, with all the influence that, Jofo in the ring has over the entire wrestling world. I mean, like I was saying, another guy we had on the show is hitting it huge now. Danny Limelight just made his debut on AEW Dark. I mean, we're not taking credit for making him a star. He's obviously
Dynamite, not
great
Dark.
on his own.
He made his Dynamite debut.
Yeah, Kyle didn't take his meds today. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, it's the beauty of editing. You think Trax and Tico are prepared? Never.
Oh, that's all staying in.
Yeah, it's staying in.
We're exposing.
Anyways.
Yeah. The only editing that should happen is we should edit your face out of this broadcast.
All right, fine. Good. Let's tank this whole fucking show. Wrestling's not real. You're a fucking...
Hey, how about you focus it back on Danny Limelight? You're burying the kid before even giving us a chance to talk about him.
Yeah.
You guys have had him on. I didn't get a chance to talk about him. I thought he did
Now
great in that match. He rose.
Hey,
you had your chance to talk. Why you want to talk so much now when you had your chance and all you're talking about is editing the show? This is ridiculous. Let's give some props to Danny Limelight. He had a great match. He entertains me every week on Dark. He's another guy I'd love to get in the ring there with, and kudos to him. Rising to the occasion in there with, someone who's considered one of the best in the world, Kenny Omega, along with the Good Brothers. That was a great spot for him to be in. and definitely he showed people why he should be there and he belongs. So, give the kid his props and stop making this about you there, Butterbean Jr.
See, Claudio's going to love you now. You just got a new fan.
So with that said, Kyle, since I am steering the ship here today, I will leave you with one task to do that I will entrust you with, and that's to tell the people at home about our great sponsor, someone that myself and the Prod God here grew up alongside. The rest of the world knows him as the Cannoli Boss, and he provides the world with such fantastic baked goods at Balboa Bakery. So I'm going to let you take care of this, and hopefully the people will do what I don't usually do at least half the time, and that's listen to what you have to say.
Well, selective hearing. But, shout out to Big Joe. I drove down to 102 St. Jean Baptiste Local 52 this weekend. And if you get a little confused, it's right behind, kind of off to the side of the Kazakh. Fantastic place. I was in there. He took care of me. That place smells fantastic. I didn't want to leave, but it was closing time and I had to go. But he hooked me up with the cannolis, and let me tell you, the guy, he deserves that nickname. It's a great name. Great cannolis. Go over there. Tell him Jofo in the ring sent you. You will not be disappointed.
And much like Rocky Balboa, delivering a true underdog story, Balboa Bakery always delivers in the end. So if you need anything from them, they will hook you up. And I think I might even decide to pay a trip down to the Cannoli Boss and pick up some baked goods and have me a good old cheat day.
Well deserved. And trust me, you won't be disappointed.
All right. So, Kyle, I'm going to entrust you with one more thing since you didn't screw that up, and that's to let fans know where they can find us, where they can follow us, and all that other stuff. You have the floor.
Well, if they know, they know, but if they don't, it's a damn problem. But Wednesdays, 7 p.m. on YouTube, Jofo in the Ring, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Follow us on TikTok. Follow my TikToks. Just come check us out. I promise you, it'll be the most entertaining hour of your life.
Yep, I couldn't have, actually, I could have probably said it better myself, but you know what? You did a pretty good job there. We do live in a world where a C- is considered a pass, so you have a passing grade on that. The only thing you forgot was to tell them they can also follow me at Jeremy Prophet on Twitter, at The Real Jeremy Prophet on Instagram, and of course, if you want to see me in action, talking the talk, walking the walk, and leaving fans mesmerized, you can see that great playlist they have of me here on the Jofo YouTube channel. So with that said, for Kyle, myself, the man behind the man, this has been Jofo in the Ring. And remember that wrestling is life.